Who's got the rocket launcher? I say we blow it up. Now fire that thing.
It's for the city of sports, playing with a giant Nick. With my man S. Guard.
That's him.
You feel the vibe?
That's me.
We going live.
That's us.
That like button shared, you been subscribed.
Stadium.
That MetLife Big Blue, home of the Braves.
Yeah.
That turnpike you can see, that's where the game's played. NFL one day, then it's the NBA. Madison Square Garden, that's where the Knicks play. This that NY Logan, no it don't get broken. Legalized mean this shit smoking. I'm on topic, dropping another episode. The game winner, trade, maybe a field goal. Everybody right now doing the wave. You tuned in, the show called The Man Cave. I see the chat, they always doing their thing. Big views, 85 inch screen. The game's on, you rush and bleed. Stay calm, you on the road to chill, do the watch along. The show's on, the host, you know it's S-God. It's no telling, the panel filled with guest stars. You're now rocking with the voice, you know what it is. It's your boy J Boogie. You're now rocking with my man S-God. I support him to the fullest, you heard? My man Mike Blaze. This is Alter Production. What that mean? We about to alter everything that's playing. Tune in. My man S.God. Support the show. Subscribe, share it. Most importantly, hit that like button.
Salute to the orange and blue skies, man. Y'all already know what time it is, man. It's been a while, but we are back talking Knicks basketball, man. I know it's been like over a month since the Knicks were eliminated from the playoffs, man, but a lot has went on since then has happened, man. So, hey, man, I know I ain't talking Knicks probably in a couple of weeks, but hey, I'm back tonight talking Knicks basketball, man. So make sure you guys tune in, man. Tap that like and subscribe button to the Man Cave podcast, as well as Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports and the Aboriginal Sports Network, as well as all the great content creators on the Aboriginal Sports Network, man. If this is your first time to my podcast, the Man Cave podcast, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, man. Also hit it for Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports, man. And like I said, tonight we are going to be talking about the New York Knicks since the season ended, the hiring of Coach Mike Brown, also reactions and analysis of the hire and what we think about it, as well as free agency, what the Knicks did in free agency, and also what offense Mike Brown will be running in New York, man. So we get all that started in a few. But first, I want to check in with my co-host, man, my man, Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports, man. Coach, how are you feeling, man, today?
Yo, thank you, man. I'm feeling good, man. I'm happy to be here, talk about the Knicks. Finally, after the long search, now people can kind of settle down and, we can, just let's wait and see and let's let the Knicks do what they need to do so we can get ready for next season.
Yes, sir, man. So without further ado, man, we're going to play a little bit of Coach Mike Brown introductory press conference courtesy of SNY, man. So we're going to play that and let's take a listen and see, probably the first 4 or 5, 6 minutes of it. And then after that, we'll talk about it and see our analysis of what we think of the hire and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's do it.
Leon, Mr. Dolan, Leon Rose, for this incredible opportunity. I'd also like to acknowledge my fiance, Ro, for her continued support and for being here. I look forward to working with Leon, forming a great partnership with our shared common goal of winning a championship. I'm honored and excited to be the new head coach of the New York Knicks. You talk about a historic franchise, Madison Square Garden. It's iconic. Our fans, they're the most knowledgeable and passionate, probably in all of sports. There's a lot of work to be done. We have an outstanding roster. What they did in the playoffs shows their potential. I've had great conversations with all of our players. And I'm looking forward to growing positive, strong relationships with all of them over time.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first.
Is that your car?
Yeah.
Like
No.
you know to check your
No.
sunroof is closed
No.
first, before going through the car wash. So check Allstate first and save when you click or call. Modern look. Thick.
Our goal, starting with Mr. Dolan, to Leon, to the players, all the way down to the fans, is to build a sustainable winning culture that produces championships. That's why I'm here. I'm fortunate to know what it takes to create that success. A lot of hard work, a high level of commitment, and a focus on today. Now, a lot of you guys gonna say, this sounds cliche, and it is, but we can't skip any steps. It's about one day, one practice, one shoot around at a time. The soul of our identity when it comes to culture, it's going to be based on a trust that's centered around sacrifice, a connectivity, a competitive spirit, and an overall belief in the process and each other. I'm looking forward to getting to know you all, but there's a lot of work to do, and I'm ready to get started.
Okay, now we're going to open up for the questions.
Coach, just your style of play that we want to play, and just what's it that kind of Jalen Brunson kind of run your team?
The first thing is, everybody knows I like to play fast. And like I said, we have an outstanding roster. I'm excited about that. And to have a guy like Jalen out there gives you the versatility to play all different types of ways, which is what it's going to take throughout the course of a ball game.
Mike, Steve Popper from Houston. I know you had expectations, and other judges have taken steps in behind the fiddle and stuff. Just kind of what is it for you coming into a team that's reached the conference finals, the expectations you're stepping into?
Well, there's nobody has any bigger expectations, first of all, than I do. My expectations are high. This is the Knicks. I talked about Madison Square Garden being iconic. I talked about our fans. I love and embrace the expectations that come along with it. So I'm looking forward to it.
When obviously a team makes the conference finals, and the question is about why.
You're muted.
I'm gonna just stop a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So we can just talk on it. Like I said, we got the gist of it, his introductory press conference. I'm gonna let you go first on your initial reaction to Mike Brown being hired, and if you like the hire or you think it's a good fit, or or you still on the fence about it, so I'll let you.
Well, as far as the hire, I'm taking a wait and see approach. I've talked to a couple of people who are familiar with him. So, there's some good things that they've said, and there's some things that, they're like, okay, you question some things, but, overall being a very detail oriented type of a coach, which is good. He talked about, his system, playing fast, but he also talked about, you know, working hard and staying true to, you know, his process. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued by that aspect, you know, and the biggest thing is players buying in, you know, because every coach, it doesn't matter what sport, every coach, you know, has their ideal, but it still falls on the players to buy in because they're the
Right.
ones that have to go out there and execute. So, you know, but again, sounds good. You know that, you know, he won Coach of the Year in Sacramento, playing a high tempo offense. So, you know, that's something that I'm intrigued by. You know, the adaptability he spoke about, Jalen, you know, playing different ways, you know, so it's not just strictly always going to be just going fast. You know, sometimes you're going to have to get into a half court offense. The other team's defense is not going to allow you to get out there and play fast. They're going to do what they need to do to slow you down. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's why, you know, it's a wait and see, because then how do you use the players? How do you use Cat? You know, what do you do? Also, what other coaches are going to be on his staff? You know, we already know Brunson has, in a sense, been demoted to an assistant coach as opposed to being the assistant head coach or associate head
Mm-hmm.
coach. I'm sorry. So, you know, so I want to see how that goes. I want
Mm-hmm.
to see how everything goes. So, you know, but again, like I said, I'm waiting to see with this hire. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I want it to do well. I mean, you know, hey, he's coached some elite talent. You can't take that away from him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so and you know he has gotten the team to the championship level. You know, it's just that as a head coach, he hasn't won it. So you
Right.
know, so but you know, I'm taking a wait and see approach, and hopefully he will get this team over the hump and into the championship and bring it home.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. And I was gonna ask you, was that the guy that you wanted the Knicks to hire, or did you have someone else in mind for them to hire other than Coach Mike Brown or, Taylor Jenkins, the guy they interviewed?
Um, no, he wasn't the one I wanted hired. To be honest with you, I never even
Uh-huh.
wanted the coaches that they reach out for, you know.
Hmm.
But the coach that I want, for some reason, nobody in the league wants to hire him. We all know who that is, Mark Jackson.
Yeah. Hey man.
So, you know, but I understand, you know, look,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, you have to move on. That's the one thing you have to do. You have to be able to move on. And you know, once
Hmm.
you settle in and you can't get those other coaches from the other teams, you know, it really wasn't that many coaches to really, you know, was I intrigued by Dawn Staley? Yeah, because that surprised me, but I didn't think she was going to truly get interviewed and hired. You
Hmm.
know, I think it came down to him and Jenkins. Um,
Okay.
that's it. You know, Mike Malone. I already had the sense they didn't want him.
Hmm.
But
I
what about
totally
you?
agree. Yeah, man, I totally agree, man. Like I said, as far as the head coach, I agree with you. The guy, like I thought they was going, I wanted it was Mark Jackson at least to give the interview just to see what happens. But like I said, we already know about that. You know what I'm saying? And obviously that's not going to happen and stuff like that. So we was only relegated to the guys that they interviewed, you know what I'm saying, which was Mike Brown, Taylor Jenkins, James Barrigo and stuff like that, who he may try to get over here too, So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take a wait and see approach because like I said, I want to know which Mike Brown are we getting? Are we getting Mike Brown, Cleveland Cavaliers coach when LeBron first came in the league, or we getting Mike Brown, Sacramento, and all these other assistants like, where he's been seasoned under like, Popovich, the Spurs, all the Warriors, and the
Hmm.
Sacramento Kings. That's what I want to see, that type of coach. Because if that's the type of coach, like I said, that guy right there, like I said, he done been under a lot of tutelage from a lot of great winning organizations. So he has a lot of different mindsets and philosophies and is more open instead of just being like, thinking he could think outside the box and make
Hmm.
adjustments. You see what I'm saying? Adjust to today's style of play, which he did say that he's adjusting to today's style of play compared to like some other coach who was just stuck in his old ways and things like that. And,
Hmm.
you know, it is what it is. But like I said, yeah, initially, I mean, I wasn't too thrilled with the Mike Brown or Taylor Jenkins, like I said. But like I said, when it came down to it was either going to be either one of them.
Hmm.
It was to me, it was a coin toss of which one he was going to pick. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
like you
Mm-hmm.
said, we just gonna have to take whatever they say they was gonna do. But through it all, the Knicks did say they wanted a coach with some championship experience and all stuff. And not to say, I guess he didn't win the championships, but even on some championship teams and stuff like that, coaching staff. So that makes it a little bit better. So at least he knows what it takes to get to the mountaintop. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
As an assistant, not so much as a coach, but maybe, like I said, maybe this time around he will see that and it will make some adjustments and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mm-hmm.
am intrigued by the Mike Brown hire and stuff like that because, like I said, me, I did a lot of Knicks streams over the last couple of seasons, and like I said, the pace of the Knicks play to me was just too slow. It was
Mm-hmm.
too slow of a pace. You got to pick it up. Yeah, you can play it slow at some points, but you have to pick up the tempo at some points. You got a lot of young guys on the team, and guys are, what I'm saying, should be running and stuff like that, and speed up the game to change the pace, the momentum, and things like that. And I think the Knicks just never did. And then also, like I said, I've always been screaming about the Knicks running an offense, some type of offense, so Brunson won't pound the ball for 20 seconds and
Mm-hmm.
then get in the lane and try to make something happen. Or you just watching one guy on the one side of the floor doing things like this. It's like you have to run an offense. You have to get these defenses moving, tire them out, do something. But you know what I'm saying, not keep doing the same thing. Not ISO ball. ISO ball is not going to work. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That's what's been catching up to the Knicks lately in the playoffs. I know injury is a big part of it too, but also, like I said, our stagnation on the offense is just like went downhill and stuff like that. I want to see more ball movement and stuff like that. And like I said, what happens when you move, you're going to get easy baskets, cut to the basket, this and that. You don't have to work so much on the offense and things like that. And also for Mike Brown, for being this coach, it's going to light a fire on some of these starters, man. Carl Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Towns, you gotta move it. Mikal Bridges, you gotta rev your motor up. You gotta get a little bit quicker, bro. You gotta play a little bit faster. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see. Like I said, with Towns getting a cleanup and also with his knee and fingers, like I said, I want to see how he's gonna be in the first part of the season in this new offense and things like that with Mike Brown and stuff like that. That's I want to see what training camp and preseason looks like. You know what I'm saying? To be intrigued. I know summer league is going on this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm pretty sure they're going to start incorporating that. But the Knicks summer league has always been like faster pace anyway. It's not been like the real, like the NBA team. So I can't take too much into that. But if I see like more like, Princeton offense and cutting and things like that, I'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so that's the type of offense that's coming up to, to the professional ranks and stuff like that. So yeah, man. So with Mike Brown, like I said, I'm like you, I'm going to do a wait and see approach. Cause like I said, I'm not going to be like toot my horn, like, yo, we got a great coach and all type of stuff. I mean, he could end up being a great coach. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
but on top of that, like I said, we just going to temper our expectations and stuff like that. Real Knicks fans temper the expectations. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Tibbs he did good, man. He took us to as far as he can get us and stuff like that. So hey, maybe this is somebody else that can put us over the hump and get us over that part. You know what I'm saying? That's waiting to be seen. But like I said, the main thing is I just, hopefully he plays the bench like he did in Sacramento and these other places about the depth and all that stuff. Get these young guys some opportunities, develop these players here instead of letting them just go to other teams and stuff like that. That's what I want to see. I want to see players given a chance, and I want to see players being held accountable. That's my thing with the coaching staff and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And,
Mm-hmm.
listen to some things in the past, like, what I'm saying, I know one incident we used to bring up is the Kobe Bryant thing, the rest in peace to late Kobe Bryant, where he yanked Kobe out of a game, to
Mm-hmm.
get into him and stuff like that. And Kobe even said, man, it was great that he pulled me out. I needed that and stuff like that. So if he could yank Kobe Bryant out of a game and be held accountable, ain't nobody on this team is like, above the law. You know what I'm saying? So hold them
Mm-hmm.
accountable. If they're not doing something or they're not giving all maximum effort or full effort, hey, yank him out, put somebody else in. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see some guys just loafing around, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
hey,
Mm-hmm.
and another thing that's going to be a fresh air is he listens to his assistant because the former coach,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, people saying like they could not do nothing, they couldn't implement anything, do anything, and he wasn't listening to them and stuff like that. Is like that's not what a real coaching family coaching you need people to be in your ear to tell you things, to show you things, to adjust and all that stuff, and listen to people's opinions to help you grow as a person and as a coach. And that's what we need. You know what I'm saying? We need a players type coach, but we also need a guy who's going to be stern with his players and held them accountable and stuff like that. If they're not giving forth the effort, hey, sit them down and put somebody else in, bypass them and put somebody else in off the bench. Hey, that's what I want to see. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, I can't wait for this to see, you know what I'm saying, how this season's going to go. Like I said, ready for the season because, like I said, I'm ready to see a different type of offense. I'm ready to see how the Knicks are going to play with a faster tempo because he is known for playing with a faster tempo. Like I said, you get guys in here and stuff like that. We'll see what the starting lineups look like. We'll see what the bench rotation look like because with Tibbs and stuff like that, we used to have like a staggered lineup where one person come in or two person come in. That's about it. I want to see if he can bring like 3 different people at the same time, 4 people. Saying just in case. And hey, I don't want to see guys playing 40 some minutes. If they playing like 31 minutes, I'm good with that. 31 minutes, something like that. 30, 29, some games 28, depending on what's going on. That's what I want to see, man. Especially if we got leads, if we blown somebody out, I want the bench in. I don't want the starters in playing the whole game, or even if we're down by 20 points, I don't want to see the starters really in the game towards the end. It's just play the bench now, bring in the bench brigade. You know what I'm saying? Let them guys play. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm on a wait and see approach of Mike Brown and stuff like that. So, but like I said, I'm good with the hire, man. Like I said, we'll see what needs to be happening. And hey, if it don't work out, we already know James Dolan don't play around. So we already know.
You know what? In terms of the lineup, I'm intrigued by number one. Is he going to play the double bigs per se? Or is he going to bring Mitchell off the bench? Personally speaking, I'm kind of, I want Mitchell out there because he also gives you that defensive stability. And the opposing teams, because, that was the critique. A lot of the opposing teams, they will put their centers on Josh Hart. Well, now you can't do that. You really can't do that because Mitchell will set the pick and roll, and there you go with the lob and, those thunderous dunks. And then he's always great at offensive rebounding. So, that's another thing. So I'm intrigued by that aspect. And, you talked about Mikal Bridges. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, in Sacramento, what did he do with Keegan Murray? Because I'm saying to myself, they're Keegan is a little bit taller, but their games kind of mirror a defensive-minded wing who can shoot the three. Now, Mikal can probably take people off the dribble a little bit better than he can, but that's why I'm like, or is Keegan Murray even more so like Anunoby? So I'm saying to myself, you know what? Maybe I need to go take a look at when he was there, how he used Keegan Murray, just to get a general idea what he's going to do with some guys who are wing players, who can defend as well as they can shoot the three and do a few little other things offensively. So I'm intrigued by that. So it would be really nice to see what he does with the lineup. Overall. So and the bench, yes, I'm with you because I want to see. Also, how Porty develop. I want to see what's his name from Marquette?
Kolek.
Kolek. Even
I want to see Pakim Dadier.
Yeah, even Dadier. I mean, what do we have in him? He's a first round draft pick. So what do you have in him to can you develop and get something from him? Because that also adds to the depth on the team where if you can play, if you have the ability, I'm not saying you always have to, but if you have the ability to play 10 guys, that goes a long way in a long, grueling season. And you know what? It's championship or bust, man. Everybody got to be on board, man. Everyone. So,
yeah, I'm with you as far as the lineup too, and I'm thinking from his introductory press conference, it looked like Josh Hart is going to the bench, which he should be on the bench. And I think that's what everybody just failed to realize. Josh Hart really supposed to be coming off the bench, but because of these trades and stuff like that, he was just forced to be in the lineup and stuff like that. And everybody looking at him as a starter. And he is a bench player. That's why when I'm looking at his production, I'm like, yeah, he's supposed to be off the bench. That's great production from a bench player, but he's in the starting lineup. And because of his lack of shooting and stuff like that, was stagnating the offense. Now, if he goes with the double bigs, then that means at least all these players slide back to their natural position, like Towns at the 4, OG at the 3, and Mikal at the 2. So now you can't do that no more. You can't do that no more. Like put a big on Mikal Bridges or something like that and put a small on Town. So that's another thing that changes a whole lot and stuff like that, man. So yeah, if he goes to double bigs, that'll be great. But if he does decide not to go to double bigs, somebody else has to start other than Josh Hart. He can't be at that too. You know what I'm saying? They probably, and I know Jordan Clarkson just came in, but if he's like, yo, if that's what he probably have to put him in the starting lineup. I know he's coming off the bench, but yeah, Hart, it'll be a microcosm of the same thing again. You know what I'm saying? As far as that, you know what I'm saying? On that aspect. So I totally agree with you on that. So I'm gonna go over to listen to what Ian Begley has to say on this. Ian Begley will say on here, like as far as Mike Brown and stuff like that. So let's listen to what Ian Begley has to say.
Insider Ian Begley after the Knicks officially announced Mike Brown as their new head coach. He seemed polished. He seemed ready, very well prepared for this press conference. What was your biggest takeaway?
When he talked about holding players accountable and his approach with that and how it starts now with building relationships with the guys on this team and building a trust to the point where you can have honest conversations that you're going to need to have over the course of an NBA season. To me, that's such a huge part of coaching in this league. Can you say what you need to say when a player is not playing well? Can that player respond? Can he trust you? So Mike Brown starting to develop those relationships already. He said he's already talked to the whole roster.
It's very impressive. Now he's going to need to fill out his coaching staff. So what is next specifically for him in that?
Yeah, I'm expecting some holdovers from the Tom Thibodeau coaching staff. I would expect Maurice Cheeks. I would expect Mark Bryant, Rick Brunson, and Darren Erman to come over to Mike Brown's staff, and he is going to be after James Borrego. Borrego, an assistant in New Orleans, a guy who interviewed for this head coaching job. I was told Brown really sees Borrego as an important addition, great offensive mind, and can really spearhead things on offense for New York. Borrego under contract with New Orleans, so big hurdles there for the Knicks to bring him here, but that's certainly a name to keep an eye on.
Sal, as we know, you were
And
not
then
a
we'll
fan
listen
of
to
this
Sal.
hire when it was first reported after hearing Mike Brown's press conference Tuesday.
Sal's
Do you
always
feel any
funny, right?
differently?
No. As a matter of fact, they feel worse. I didn't get confidence that Mike Brown is going to be a great leader of men. He could talk about the culture and all that coach speak and word salad babble. He's never sniffed a championship as a head coach. Yeah, what happened with the Kings? Did he bring that culture to the Sacramento Kings and turn things around? Tom Thibodeau turned things around for the New York Knicks. He built them into a sustainable franchise. So I hope I'm wrong about Mike Brown. I think he's probably a decent coach. He's not better than Tom Thibodeau, and nothing that came out of his mouth in his introductory press conference made me feel any better about the hire.
Sal, I don't know how we're going to top word salad babble for the rest of the show, but we are going to try.
That was Sal Licata. You know what I'm saying? SNY Sal Licata always like, give his opinions on that and stuff like that, man. But listen to Ian Begley, like I said, man, holding players accountable, you know what I'm saying? And trying to get James Borrego on his staff, which is another offensive-minded coach and stuff like that, which is going to be a great thing for the Knicks offense. So now the only thing we got to wonder for is this defense, though, right? Because we got to play some type of defense. We can't just be playing offense and stuff like that and not worried about defense. Mitchell Robinson can play the defense. And, saying going back to what you were talking about with these guys coming in like Dadier, all these guys. Like I said, I know some people I watch some other Knicks content. They talking about, oh, them guys is not going to play. They just going to play like the veterans and the guys. They sounds like, nah. If you playing a faster tempo, more players is going to play. You know what I'm saying? That's you. It has to be real. You have to be realistic. You can't just think like the same players that playing like this is like the same stars we had. Like the guys who weren't trying to run too much, they're going to be running a lot more. So they're going to be tired a little bit more. So you're going to need some guys to come in and play them off the bench. You know what I'm saying? It's like playing for Tom Thibodeau, you could play probably the whole first quarter because it's a slow tempo. So you can play the whole first quarter and take a lot of breaks. And this dude's tempo, if they're pushing in, doing all that time, these guys might play 6 or 7 minutes and come out and the next person come in to spell them. And you're going to see, because when you saw the Knicks playing fast a little bit, you saw them gassed a little bit. You know, you seen guys like, you'd be like, yo, we got to take what's name out the game. OG got to get out the game, or Towns got to get out the game. He's huffing and puffing down, or Mitchell Robinson got to get out. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, the faster the tempo, you got to remember more players are going to play and you need more guys to be fresh. So, hey, if they play 10, 11 guys like OKC, Indiana, it's acceptable, bro. That's what we want, because in the long run, if something does happen, like one of the star players and go down, at least you got the guys off the bench who are used to playing. They're not going to be like a deer in headlights towards the end of the season and in the playoffs. That's what you want. You want to get all this experience during the regular season and the beginning of the season, so that way they get used to it, more game speed, and also, get used to playing out there on the court with these guys in different lineups and different things like that. Because you don't want some guys like, oh, this lineup never played before, towards the end of the season or in the playoffs. This lineup, you'd be like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? It's like these guys got to get acclimated to each other, got to get used to these guys and stuff like that. That's what you want. I take away from Ian Begley, man. Like I said, the Knicks insider, like I said, he always has great insights and stuff like that. He's in the know, with the Knicks and stuff like that. He said they hold him accountable. He said they're going to play at a faster tempo, and, guys are going to be held accountable, and also his interaction with these coaches and the players and stuff like that. Like he said, he want to get to know these players, talk to these players. He ain't one of those guys that's going to be like, say one thing in your face and go behind your back, probably, So he's a player's coach, so we'll see. Like I said, a lot of people say what they, say a lot of things in introductory press conference, but we will see as fans, as the season goes on and stuff like that, we will see if it's going to come out or not. And if it is true, hey, that's a great thing, man. That's what we want to see, man, more transparency and stuff like that. If guys are doing great in practice, why they not playing in the game? What I'm saying? If you're going to tell them they're going to be playing the game and then the game time comes, they don't play. That's how players lose trust with the coaches and stuff like that. Or, they start spacing out and just like checking out. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see during the season. And also, things a lot of people have to remember, we were one of the most injured teams. So guys, don't act like these guys are going to be here all season, which we want them to be here all season, but that's not the reality of it. So, hey, the more people we get, the more it's better, because like I said, if injuries happen, at least, we got some guys that can step up and fill in and things like that. And that's what you want.
Exactly. I agree with you. I mean, injuries happen in all sports. You don't want it to happen, but you have to be prepared for it. And how do you adjust to that? So, that's a key factor. So yes, the depth is another thing. The the faster pace. Because when I hear that, I think back to the old Georgetown days with John Thompson. They press hard on defense. They got out there. They offensively, they got after it as fast as possible. And sometimes Coach T would, at a timeout, take out the full whatever five are out there and bring in another five. And it's pretty much doing the same thing, which will affect the opposition and wear them down. So definitely, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, man. Like I said, the thing about holding players accountable, man, holding players accountable, because like I said, we all saw that players weren't held accountable. Like the star players. So we saw that during the Tom Thibodeau's regime, especially on the defensive end, man. Them guys was not being held accountable that I thought they were not, especially on the defensive end and stuff like that. So that's what I want to be like, hey, man, if this guy can do it, I'm all for it, man. If he can do it, I'm all for it. But like I said, just like we said before, I'm not gonna hold my my tongue and all that type of stuff is like this, hold my breath and stuff like that. We'll see Mike Brown does and stuff like that. So next topic we're gonna move on to is the NBA Knicks free agency, man. How did you feel like when the Knicks? I know that this wasn't a big splash for the Knicks in free agency, because, like I said, we made our big splash the year before and all that stuff. We were very limited as far as cap wise and things like that, even in the draft of what we can do in the draft and things like that. So, and it is expected when your team, like I said, is in the playoffs, like almost in the finals and stuff like that, in the Eastern Conference Finals. So when you make it far, you already know, like, this is a win now mode team, so they don't really have time for, like, a bunch of young guys that develop, and things like that. So, hey, it is what it is. Like I said, the guys we got last year, for some reason, the guys that we got last year, I feel these guys can play. They should have been playing last year. Like I said, all three of the rookies I felt should have been playing a little bit to get them some experience and stuff like that. And if they wasn't playing, send them to the G League, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, the time they were in the game, hey, Kolek, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he run a little rough shot with that, you know what I'm saying? But that's because of no playing time, you know what I'm saying? And Hakordi, the little time that he was in there, you know what I'm saying? He did good, you know what I'm saying? Like he was aggressive as a rebounder, you know what I'm saying? Making shots, things like that, blocking shots and stuff like that. So, hey man, I'm very intrigued to see what they can do with these guys, man. With these guys, develop them and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that these guys are going to play, man. Like I say, and I know some people are like they ain't too high on Pakham Dottie, the first round pick, but I was like, hey man, let the guy play. And another thing, like I said, with the Knicks bench is like those three guys, they can play with some energy, as well as what's that? Kevin McCullers. He came late, the rookie from Kansas. These guys have a little bit of motor, you know what I'm saying? So that's another thing is like, and keep in mind with this faster pace, if these guys got a motor, they're gonna play and they can help us, man. So let's see what these guys can do. Like I said, I'm gonna be intrigued to watch the what did you call it, the summer league, because then most of these guys will be on the summer league team. So, you know, and they're gonna be running that offense, you know what I'm saying? So I'm intrigued to see how they're gonna be. And then also, like I said, the preseason, when the preseason starting and stuff like that. So I'm very excited, man. But as far as like Yabusele, man, from the Sixers, like I said, the times that we played him, like I said, he was a very active, like stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? He was very physical and stuff like that. That's something we need, you know what I'm saying? And he had, and again, like I said, high motor, a guy that plays with a motor. That's what I'm mostly interested in, a guy that plays with a high motor and stuff like that. We need that, you know what I'm saying? And he's about what, 6'8", I believe?
Yeah, 6'8", 6'9", somewhere in that range.
Yeah, so he's a what you call it? So, and he got some size to him and stuff like that. So, you know, we ain't gonna be afraid to use him in the game and stuff like that. You know, and also he can play good with Towns and stuff like that, or Robinson and stuff like that, because he has some more offense to him. It's not like he's limited. So you can use a guy with either one of those guys and stuff like that, or spell one of those guys when they in foul trouble or they're not even playing. Because, like I said, I don't know if people remember, Yabusele had a stretch last year when Embiid was out, and he did real good for the Sixers, man. He was like a surprise because when we played him, I'm like, who this guy? And I mean, isn't that he's like a rookie? So I'm like, he played with the Nets, and so that's, I guess for some other teams. So, you know, he's known and stuff like that. So it's like, hey, we able to get that guy, especially for the minimum. What is that? The
mid level or something like
the
that.
mid level. And come to find out, he didn't take all of the mid level. He left a little bit, so the Knicks will be able to sign somebody else, which is a great thing, man. And then also, hey, I know Jordan Clarkson. I mean, I know we got rid of Dante DiVincenzo, but I feel like we got something back with Jordan Clarkson. You know what I'm saying? He's a taller version of Dante DiVincenzo. He's ready to shoot that ball. You know what I'm saying? You leave him open, it's going up. He's not going to hesitate. You know, and that bench production and that scoring. So you know you're gonna get some scoring from Jordan Clarkson. I mean, I'm not so much the defensive part, but that's probably gonna be a work in progress. But that's all I care about. You know, somebody that can get some production and stuff like that when their number is called. And he's a vet. He's been in the league like about 11 seasons and stuff like that. So he's a vet. He knows his thing. And like I said, he still moves good. You know what I'm saying? He's not one of those like guys who's like, you know, a little bit out of shape or something like that. He's very much in shape and stuff like that. And he works out all the time. So, hey, I am happy with the signings. Like I said, I know it's going to be a very limited summer for us and stuff like that. So them two guys add much depth that's very much needed with like I said, the rookies from last year. I think we got something good there, man. So I just want to see how they're going to be used by Mike Brown and how he implements them.
Yeah, the free agent signing, you know, you said it wasn't a big splash. I wasn't expecting a big splash, you know, but I was expecting players who can come in and be key contributors to, you know, the ultimate goal of this organization, and they did that. You know, Clarkson, you know, is a double-digit scorer. You know, and that's what you would want, especially with that second unit. You know, look, he can come in. You know, sometimes, you know, you've seen where the starters are going well and the reserves come in, and it just seems offensively that they are lost. Well, he's the one that's going to be the focal point, and you're going up against a lot of second unit players as opposed to starters. So, and then Yabusele, you know, I was just looking it up. He averaged 11 points and about 5.6 rebounds with Philly. You know, so you're taking that away from Philly. Think about that. You're taking away from one of the teams in your division, and you're bringing that over to what you're trying to do. So, you know, you want that type of production. And, you know, he's a physical type of player. So, and that's what you want out there, you know, at times, especially, you know, if certain teams have certain players out there and they're going up against them, And you know what? He's being physical and he's wearing these other key players on the opposition down. So, it's a great bonus, and, you have him with Deuce, you have him with Josh, so it really goes well. And Porty, if you can continue to develop him, because I was pleased with what he was bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, that's a good second unit. Maybe they get someone else in. I have said maybe, you want to choose a point guard on that second unit, but right now we'll have to wait and see what they're able to bring to the table. But with what they've done so far, I appreciate it. And who knows, there might be somebody in the summer league that goes out there and plays well. Kolek may go out there and play extremely well, and you know what? He's going to catch the eye of Brown, and Brown might say, let me watch him, let me develop him. And then, you know what? That's someone who, on that second unit as a point guard, you can go ahead and utilize him there. So I'm definitely pleased with the free agency that, the Knicks had.
And like I said, and another thing, like I said, I don't know, I'll be here and seeing some little stories like they might even be able to send Malcolm Brogdon if he's available for the that could be a nice little pickup, because like I said, in the playoffs you always need a secondary ball handler. That's one of the things in the playoffs. You saw that was our biggest problem in the playoffs. Other than Brunson, we really didn't have like that secondary strong ball handler to break pressures and things like that, and that kind of bit us. Yeah, them other guys are there. Like I said, Deuce McBride, not really a strong ball handler. Mikal Bridges, not too strong. Josh Hart, you know what I'm saying? So we need that secondary ball. Kolek maybe that's it, but I don't know. But I know Brogdon is a strong ball handler, so you need that. If we can get that type of player on our team, you know what I'm saying, for the mid-level exception thing he'll take or whatever, that'll be that'd be a big boost to us. And I know people's like, well, that means that's going to take from Kolek. Yeah, Kolek to still play. Like I said, it's a long season, bro. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at it like this. Don't you want somebody to mentor Kolek, like a Brogdon or, Brunson, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So it's always a good thing. And even if Brogdon just there and doesn't play and they let Kolek play, Kolek is still learning from, Brogdon being there on the team and stuff like that. Just like how PJ Tucker was a great influence towards the end of the season. It's like that veteran leadership. You need that, man. And like I said, and the Brogdon's on there, man, like I said, and Brunson, you can put them both of them in the lineup at the same time to handle pressure or something like that. I feel much more secure and safer with those two in the lineup, so they won't be turning the ball over and things like that, And then also in the draft, we got, even though he's a second-round pick, was Mohamed Diarra, you know what I'm saying, from France, another French connection with Pacom Dadier and stuff like that. And also, in the summer league, I'm going to be looking for the guy we got from Charlotte last year, James Nagy or something like that. He's another 6'9", 6'10" dude. Like I said, he plays above the rim and stuff like that. So I want to see how these guys play, man, in the summer league with Porty, Nagy, Diarra and stuff, because they're going to be on the team and stuff like that. So, I want to see Pacom Dadier. I want to see like his transformation, things like that. And I don't think he wasn't given a fair chance last year. You know what I'm saying? Even Porty played a little bit, but not as much. And I know he got injured, so that kind of cut down his time and stuff like that, because he was there at the time when who went down? It was Mitch. Mitch was there. It was somebody that went down, and he was right there. And then as soon as he came in, he got hurt. The first game or the second game or something like that. I was like, man. You know what I'm saying? That was his opportunity to play, because he would have been playing, because he played good like in that game and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, man, he's like, his golden opportunity is like he get his chance, and there he goes because of an injury. But like I said, these guys can play, man. Porty can play, like I said, back up Robinson or Towns or something like that. I won't feel like, oh, man, we got to go get somebody. I feel good with those guys. I feel Porty can play and stuff like that. So I want to see if the Knicks going to play him more. And I think he should play more and stuff like that. Because like when you watch OKC and Indiana, when they got guys coming off the bench, you was like, who those guys? But them guys came in like they were ready, like they belong. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? Those guys was producing, because our bench got outscored like 50-something or 40-something to like 9 every game. I mean, our bench thing was atrocious last year, and that's part of the reason why we were losing games. Is like our bench could not do anything. I mean, we supposedly not had no more of a bench, but like I said, it's also the way you use the bench. If you're only bringing 2 or 3 players off the bench, you're not going to get too much bench production and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, hopefully. So that was a big thing in the offseason, like to strengthen that bench. And, with Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson, that's a great, what you call it, is better than what we had before and stuff like that to add with the young guys and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. But like I said, hey, I want to see how the summer
Mm-hmm.
league is going to go with some of these guys, even though sometimes in the summer league you see like free agents who trying to make teams. So, other guys might outshine and stuff like that. But I want to see how these guys run this offense, the offense that we're going to be running and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, today's basketball, yeah, teams don't run offense all the time, but at least we knowing that we can run an offense, that's all I care about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a great thing and stuff like that. So I will see in the we'll show
Yeah.
you what you call it.
Yeah, I just sent it to you in the private.
Oh
The
man,
regular's
because
not coming.
I know he was under contract by those guys, man. I know,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want to let him go.
Yeah, that's what I was just reading.
Man, but hey, we'll come up with something because I think he's under contract for a year or 2 years. So hey, it could be a year. He could be over after next year or something like that. So you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it can always be a good thing. But yeah, man, like I said, the rotation and stuff like that, that's the main thing with Knicks fans want to see the rotation with this new coach of Mike Brown. How is he going to use the rotation and the
Mm-hmm.
depth? Because that was a big thing with Tom Thibodeau for the last 5 years he was here. I know, like I said, I know things like he don't play young players. I mean, Tom Thibodeau does play young players like, Barrett, those other guys quickly and all them guys and stuff like that. But people were mad like he held what's his name, Obi Toppin accountable a lot. Even Obi was like, man, I don't even know if I'm going to play. Every time I come in the game, man, he's like, I don't know how long I'm going to stay in the game because he gets Obi right up and out of there. So good for Obi. He went to Indiana and stuff like that. So he's doing good over there. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, that's another thing with these guys over here, man. With Mike Brown, we'll see how these staff is talking to these guys, developing. That's the main thing, developing these guys, developing these young players. Because at the end of the day, we ain't got that many draft picks left like that we had before. So you got to develop your
Mm-hmm.
guys. And it's also cheaper to develop these young players than to go get
Mm-hmm.
veterans and sign free agents. So if you can get one of these young guys that can really step up and be serviceable and be one of your rotation players, oh man, that's like a godsend. So like I said, and I think we got players on our team that can play, even though, it's our bench was weak and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what happens when you play two players off the bench, trying to, hide it like you're playing like 5-6 guys off the bench.
Exactly. Player development is going to be key. It's going to be crucial. And like you said it best, we don't have a lot of first round draft picks, but you know what? The guys that we have, there's ability there. They wouldn't have been brought in if there was no ability. And that seems to be the trend nowadays in the NBA where you want to have, a full roster and have access to a full roster and utilize that full roster. So what do you do to develop those guys? Whether they're a first round pick or a second round pick or an undrafted free agent. But what do you do to develop them so that they can produce? There's going to be some guys that, they're going to fall through the cracks. But then there's going to be a few other guys that, they're a hidden gem. You take advantage of that situation and you continue to develop them and let them be key contributors from there. So, that's going to be important, to what they're trying to do. And, like you said, holding them accountable. And then with the offense, truly, is it going to be more of, an expanded type of an offense instead of, oh, yeah, Jalen Brunson, bring the ball up. Under Tibbs, you always see he brings it down and they start that weave at the right above the 3-point line, giving it to the center, whether it's Mitchell, whether it's Cat, and they dribble it, they hand it off, then they bring it back to Brunson. It's like, I get that once in a while, but if that's your primary offense, that's really nothing, man. You need to see more in terms of offense, offensive production. So, and one thing that I will say too about Yabusele, he was shooting 50.1%. So I'm like, okay, he's effective. So, he's efficient, and he's not just a, in the box type of a player.
Right.
I'm not going to say he's a high 3-point shooter, but, if he can get you 33 to 35%, that helps. That helps immensely because, you're not getting that from Mitch. So
right. The spacing on the floor helps with the spacing because they know he can shoot.
Exactly. So.
Yeah. Okay. And then the thing, like I said, and another thing, like I said, at the beginning of the season, I do not want to see you shorten your rotation like Tibbs
Mhm.
playing 7 guys at the beginning of the season. The very first 2, 3, 4. I'm like, what are you doing with a 7-player rotation, 8 player? Bro, you do that towards the end of the season. Like I said, we as
Mhm.
Knicks fans is going to be happy if we're saying 9 players play at the beginning of the season every game or something, 9 or 8 and 10 players play. Like I said, okay, like I said, because these guys are getting experience, they're getting games and game experience. That's what the most important thing, the development of these young guys. If we're going to see Coley playing, if we're going to see Haporti, Pacom
Mhm.
Dadier, and I know a lot of, like I said, some other Knicks fans are like, oh, I don't want to hear those guys playing all this. I was like, bro, at the end of the day, they have to play because we're playing a different tempo. We're not playing a slow down tempo no more. We're playing an up tempo. That guys are going to needed to play. You're going to need bodies out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they seem to understand like the tempo and stuff like that. The Knicks are not going to be walking up the ball like the way they used to be. Or you seen like how many times you seen when Josh Hart starts the fast break and he's going down court and nobody's running with him. And I'm like,
Mhm.
Josh, I'm like, yo, where's everybody at? And nobody wants to run. I'm like, hey, can't be like that no more. Like I said, I'm glad we got a guy who's going to be trying to push the tempo and stuff like that. These other guys going to have to pick up their motor and go. Like I said, Mikal Bridges should be the first one down there. OG and Anobi, those
Mhm.
guys should be like gazelles down there. You know what I'm saying? Their guys are in shape. Those guys should be moving down there and stuff like that. And I know Towns, like I said, towards the end, and like I said, he was hobbled with his knees. But hey, let's see how he plays early in the season and stuff like that. I'm more ready for it and stuff like that, man. What's good? Salute to the chat. Tyron Hall, I see you, boy. Salute,
Like Freezy,
gentlemen.
what's up?
Black Freezy, what's good, my guy? That's right, bro. Hit that subscribe button, Coach. Please, so hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah, man. Black Freezy, man. Love your content, bro. Love looking at stuff,
Mhm.
man. Love looking at Tyrone. Good news, you know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
love
Mhm.
it, bro. Love it. Keep it coming, man. But yeah, man. Like I
Exactly.
said, I'm about to play like a Sacramento offense, like I said, with Mike Brown, to give you a little snippet of what Mike Brown's offense is going to look like. I know everybody here is like, what is Mike Brown's offense? And what is Mike Brown's offense? So I'm going to play it for you so you'll see a little bit of it, man. There you
Got a
go.
new coach, new players, and they've got their best record in years, which means more and more often we get to see them light the beam. And it's a throwback to an era when the Kings were one of the best teams
Oh,
in
man.
the NBA. The Kings are channeling the ghosts of basketball past by running an offense designed by Pete Carrill, the famed Princeton offense coach who just so happened to bring his concept to this very same team, giving them the kind of offensive success that Sacramento hasn't seen since, until now. Carrill created this offense when this song came out, coincidentally, and to combine this kind of movement and passing with the incredible skill level of today's player, you get the kind of pleasing basketball that would make the coaching legends of yesterday applaud. So let's break down how it works. The basic action is for the big man to dribble towards the wing, who then cuts to the basket, followed by a handoff to the player coming out of the corner, who can then get into the middle for the floater. If the center makes the handoff into an earlier pass, it just becomes a pick and roll and a 2-on-1 against the opposing center. They find this action out of a lot of different initiations. Here is a skip pass to the top. Herder recognizes the formation and immediately cuts backdoor. Keegan Murray cuts into the handoff. And if the defender goes underneath, he's pulling for the three.
Mhm.
Let's not forget the initial backdoor cut, putting a lot of pressure on the defense with the
Mm-hmm.
spaced out weak side and no help rotations. A great solution to stopping this is to deny the handoff after the back cut. Well, that triggers another back cut, and Trey Lyles gets to show off his athletic ability. More options that can be done is read and react. The backdoor cutter can stop and set a screen for the corner man before getting the handoff. And if that's denied, then another backdoor cut, and the basic action continues to flow as the handoff leads to an open three. Off the out-of-bounds play and reversal, you get another staple of the Princeton with the handoff into swing pass back to the top, triggering the immediate back cut and dribble handoff, which flips into a ball screen and another open three. Here it is again, and if that handoff back to the middle isn't open, Fox backdoors, and now Sabonis looks for a weak side cutter that turns into a ball screen and good look for Harrison Barnes. Teams can get lulled to sleep by the methodical actions, or in this part of the song. So Sabonis takes advantage of bad positioning by Jakob Poeltl and dunks it on him. Here's where their bread and butter unfolds. The basic Princeton initiation on the right wing back to the top, but the center goes to the high post for the pass. and Barnes has his choice who he wants to run split action with. This time it's at the top of the key with Monk, and when he does this, it's an automatic pin down for Barnes coming out of the corner, leading to a wide open shot. I really like how this option flows so seamlessly from one action to the next, and it's interchangeable. So Lyles is in the Barnes role this time, and it's an automatic. Monk pins down for him as he comes up from the basket area, giving him a long closeout to attack and finish with the nifty reverse. You can see how this becomes easier and easier for the offense as the season wears on. With more reps, they get better at each of the reads, so when this pin down to the corner is shaping up and the pick and roll out top happens, if the defense gets so concerned with the cutter, it's the screener who can slip and the ball handler out top who's ready for the nice bounce pass, earning them another layup. Here it is again, this time with Sabonis flashing to the high post where the Kings rank 4th in elbow touches. And when Keegan Murray goes to screen Herter, he realizes Schroeder is in terrible defensive position and just backdoors him. After the entry to the high post, the passer has choices. He could set the split screen with the weak side wing, or he can run pinch post action and follow his pass looking for it back. The passer to the elbow also has another option. After Trey Lyles gets it to Sabonis, he can set a split screen on the strong side wing, which leads right into a pick and roll. Deep middle penetration that forces a lot of help, and the open midi for Sabonis on the baseline. It's remarkable how smart coaches were back in the day in terms of offensive player movement. I love seeing actions that date back to practically the beginning of the game run with the modern skill set. And it's no surprise that the Kings are scoring at unprecedented rates, filling the box score up night after night, which means you can win money on all this scoring by going to UnderdogFantasy.com to check out Pick'em, where you can choose 2 to 5 players, then decide on the over-under for specific stats. It's super easy to set up, and you can old school high post offenses. Instead of hitting the elbow, Herter also has the option of passing to the wing, which triggers an option out of the triangle offense. Herter runs the UCLA cut to the corner, and Metu hits an inside ball screen. This causes a massive defensive breakdown as the ball gets to the dotted line and a wide open corner 3 for Davion Mitchell. Another common set the Kings like to run involves Sabonis setting a screen to the top of the circle for a guard, then turning around and setting a ball screen. But the special sauce is the flex action taking place on the weak side block. Murray rejects Herter's cross screen to use the down screen by Sabonis and get a wide open 3-point shot. Watch what happens on that flex cut by the block. If they catch the defender getting it round on the high side, then Fox has a beauty of a bounce pass to Harrison Barnes for a point-blank shot. Here it is again, but this time Murray does use the cross screen, leaving Herter to cut off the Sabonis pin down. Notice how quickly it flows right into a post-up, and for this all-star, defenses are going to send help, so he finds the open man for a kick-out and assist. There is no end to how clever they get out of this initial alignment. Instead of the flex, they run Spain pick and roll as Herter comes back up to back screen Sabonis' man before popping out. If this doesn't get a shot, this should look familiar. Pinch post action that allows the big man to get into the lane, draw the help, and find yet another wide open 3. They run this action all the way through to the pin down for Terrence Davis, and his aggressive turn into the lane will open up the pocket pass for Sabonis, who does the rest in strong fashion.
They've taken this video down 3 times
crazy,
because
man.
it teaches you.
So yeah, we just got the gist of it right there and stuff like that with that type of offense and stuff, man. It's like, man, it's like I said, hey, we haven't seen that offense in a minute over here in New York, right?
No, and watching that, I'm saying to myself, Mikal Bridges definitely is going to have great opportunities to capitalize off of this. He definitely is with a lot of the movement that you're seeing here, the backdoor cuts. So yes, I mean it's a beautiful thing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think the thing that I like about it is like everybody's moving and doing something, not just standing around and watching like 1 or 2 player with the ball and for like 20-something seconds looking and then looking like to see who's going to take the shot or, you know, if there's going to be a bad shot or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So like, and they're constantly moving. The defenses don't know where it's coming from, which action. So the defense got to constantly move because, hey, backdoor cut. Everybody know the backdoor cut by Princeton. See man, see ball. If you don't see it, they're going backdoor to get an easy basket. And like I said, what is a backdoor? When you go backdoor, that's like the easiest basket in the world. You ain't even got to work on for it on, you know what I'm saying? The defense is like the one who's caught napping because they're looking too much at the ball and stuff like that, not paying attention to their man. And also, like I said, it doesn't, when you can get easy baskets like that, it doesn't bog down your offense where it make you struggle just to get every single point. You need easy baskets. That, and also I want to see how we're going to do like on transition on, you know what I'm saying, to get easy baskets like fast break attempts. You know, if we're going to be moving the ball, because that's another thing to get easy baskets is you know, fast break, easy points and stuff like that. Those are two aspects that you can get. And by the end, like I said, those things add up by the end of the game. That's why the scores be like 126 to 130 something. It's like those are easy baskets, you know? So,
Exactly.
and like I said, as a Knicks fan, we know what was our thing? Fast break points was not our biggest forte. You know what I'm saying? I mean, bench and fast break points is like, and that's another thing. So that's three aspects right there. If we can get the strength in the bench and get bench production, get movements on offenses to get easy baskets as well as transition points, those are easy baskets that, like I said, that can help our offense and stuff like that, and you'll win more ball games. Now at the other end, like I said, I'm seeing all this offense and all stuff. I'm worried about the defense. You know what I'm saying? Because I know Mike Brown, like I said, he was known a little bit for defense, even back with the Cavs and all that stuff for LeBron's early years and stuff like that. So I don't know if he still got that defensive acumen or something like that, because Sacramento, the Kings really didn't play that much defense though, you know. So, but I don't think that. But they never had a player like Mitchell Robinson on their team. They never had LG Anunoby on their team. You know, so that's a difference that we have. We have those two guys, Mikal, you know what I'm saying? His Phoenix days and stuff like that, not so much for New York, but hopefully he can get back to that and stuff like that. So you got three guys on there, and Josh Hart off the bench with defense, stuff like that, rebounding. And everybody don't think like rebounding is part of defense. Rebound the ball, because if you rebound the ball, you stop the other teams from getting second chance opportunities. That's a big plus. It's a big plus. You know, like you could limit a team to a one shot, make them a one trick pony, and that's it. One and done. And that's how you could increase your lead, man. You know what I'm saying? Limit the other team's scoring ability and stuff like that, and you get second and third chance points, because that's what Mitchell Robinson gives you. He gives you second and third chance opportunities. And then with this, like I said, we'll see how these guys, even on offense. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, with OG and Mikal, I have to see if their rebounding is going to improve, because that was one of my biggest gripes with those two last year. They could not rebound. For some reason, that rebound was too low for starters. Like I said, you're playing 40 minutes. There's no way you should be finishing a game with 2 and 3 rebounds. With as many missed shots that the Knicks was missing in those games, you should have had at least about 8 or 9 rebounds apiece. You know, I mean, because if Josh Hart can go out there and get 15 rebounds in a game or 16 rebounds, it doesn't matter what, you know what I'm saying, why you can't get it. Because I've seen a lot of times where balls will come to people and they just was looking at the ball. I'm like, go get it. Go get the ball. It's not just going to fall in your lap. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see if he's going to hold them accountable on that end of as far as getting rebounded. People can say, well, if they playing defense, like, bro, they can get rebounds. Rebounds is just, like I said, it's just come natural. You know what I'm saying? Just boxing out and making an effort. All it is hustle and determination to go get the ball. You know what I'm saying? You got to go get the ball. It's not just going to fall into your arms or fall into your lap. Because like I said, everybody here played basketball before. And, you know, we all know, like I said, when you play 21 or every man for themselves, if you don't get no rebound, you ain't scoring no point. You better go get that ball. You know what I'm saying? So that teaches you how to go get a rebound, you know what I'm saying, for your offense. So, like I said, man, hey, I'm intrigued to see, like I said, looking at that offense and stuff like that. Finally, some movement. Like I said, movement, ball movement. Guys are moving. Guys are doing something. Other people are making backdoor cuts. It's not they just standing around looking. So, like I said, now other teams won't get a chance to rest on defense like the way they used to in the past. So that's going to help us even more. The more you can wear down a defense, hey, the better it is for you. And like I said, if you can get easy baskets, that kills a team morale. Other teams, that kills their morale. They look around, they get like 4, 6, 8 points in a row, easy backdoor. You know what that means? It's a timeout coming by the coach on the other team. And timeout on the floor. But man, I'm just, like I said, looking at the whole gist of it, man, like I said, if you've been under a rock, Tom Thibodeau was fired as coach like right after the Knicks playoff. And I know some people was a little bit surprised about it, because it's like, how can you fire a coach that just got you to the Eastern Conference Finals? But like I said, he's been here about 4 or 5 seasons and stuff like that. And the Knicks felt like he had got him as far as he could. get him. I know that some of the rosters was like changing over from the time he was here and stuff like that, but he went from a bad roster to some good rosters and stuff like that. And like I said last year, I really want to see if we'd have been healthy. I really want to see what we'd have did last year with all those guys, because that was a really gritty team. You know what I'm saying? And we lost some good guys, like I said, man. Like I said, Dante DiVincenzo. And like when Tiz first came, our bench was like one of the best benches in the NBA with Emmanuel Quickly and those guys coming off the bench. I mean, Quick was like putting them points up and stuff like that. So we was making, we was working them things, but then like I said, through trades, a lot of it went down. We got rid of a lot of the homegrown talent, you know what I'm saying? RJ Barrett, Quickly, Toppin, Grimes. Grimes doing good over there in Philadelphia, trying to about to get a contract now. So hey, good for him and stuff like that. But like I said, those are guys that developed here and stuff like that, and they were young guys, and like I said, they were good. Like I said, so now we got to do it. We got to do it with these other guys here. You know what I'm saying? The Haportis, the Kolick, and Dadier, and you know what I'm saying. And we'll see where we go from there, man. So like I said, I'm like I said, and I think the Knicks play Friday night, man. So I'm gonna have to look at that summer league game. That's when they play. I think it's a 6:00 game. They play Friday night in the summer league and stuff like that. So that'll be your first chance to see, like some of the rookies and stuff like that. And I'm hoping to say, I know Kolick is going to play, Dadier, Haporti. Like I said, Haporti, I'm saying towards the end of the season, he is coming back from that injury, so he should be ready to go and stuff like that, and ready for a big season for us and stuff like that, man. So man, I'm so excited, like I said, for this season coming up, man. Especially with the free agent signings. Like, we know we didn't get the glamorous free agents and stuff like that, like the big names, but it's okay. We just really needed depth, and like I said, if we could just get one more signing, like a point guard, like a strong secondary ball handler. Like I said, Kolick probably could run the offense, but we get somebody like a veteran like Brogdon who can run the offense in the second unit. That'll be great. We need somebody like that, a steady hand. I wanted Tyus Jones, but he signed for about $7 million. Knicks didn't have that, you know what I'm saying? So I know what it is, but like I said, next season I think we'll have a little bit more money and stuff like that, depending on what we do and stuff like that, man. But like I said, this season, like I said, I'm ready for this season. We got to the Eastern Conference Final with basically, I ain't gonna say basically a new team, but hey, I mean, our starters, like about 2 of the starters was brand new, and it's like we got to Eastern Conference Finals. So hey, let's see what these guys can do this year, man. Like I said, it's either NBA Finals or bust. I know in some people's eyes and stuff like that because of what's going on in the East with the way, the injuries and all the stuff that's taking some of these top teams down. But, they're not going to lay down, though. So we can't just go and assume these guys are going to lay down because, they signing other guys to replace them. And these are NBA players. These guys got to feed their families, too. So they're going to come to play. So I just want to see what type of attitude that the Knicks players have and stuff like that. And like I said, guys off the bench, guys come. It's like everybody contribute, do what you got to do when you're in there and stuff like that. Because guess what? Even though you're on the Knicks, some other teams be looking at you too, man. You know what I'm saying? They want to make a trade for you, or they're going to sign you to a contract at the end of the season. So you just got to play. You just can't be like, oh, man, just be mad at the situation that you're in. You're not getting no playing time. But it's like you got to make the most of your ability and, you know what I'm saying, and your playing time and stuff like that, man. So I'm good. Like I said, the Mike Brown hire, like I said, is the first step. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if he can get us over the hump. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, hey, the pressure's on him too, because guess what? We got to an Eastern Conference Final, so he already seen that. He already knows that we got work to do. But like I said, they already know this team got to an Eastern Conference Final. So hey, Mike, do what you got to do. I know it's gonna be a new offense. It's gonna need new something, but hey, that's what we got. Preseason training camp, and like I said, and I hear a lot about training camps. Like I said, I hope these guys get to practice and play like the way they did back in the day, because they really need to go back to that to stop some of these injuries and stuff like that. These guys have to practice. They got to get longer little training camps and stuff like that and get themselves in game shape and things like that, And then during the season, they got to practice during the season. I heard sometimes these guys wasn't even really practicing. Some guys like, what? You got to practice, man. Or I guess because of the NBA schedule with these back-to-backs and all these stuff, traveling and stuff like that, is a little bit harder or something like that, So they might have to take a look at that, or they should be taking a look at it right now, what they're going to, to do in the offseason with some of this stuff, man, to get these guys to practice a little bit more and stuff like that. That should be first on their agenda and stuff like that with all these big-time injuries and stuff like that.
Well, I agree with you. Practice is definitely important. So, that's where you build up your level of continuity, familiarity, and you set a certain standard. So, hopefully they do.
Okay, man. Well, like I said, man. Hey, man. If this is your first time to my channel, the Man Cave Podcast, man, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, man, and share it on all social media platforms, as well as go subscribe to Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports, as well as the Aboriginal Sports Network. The links are right there in the chat, man. Make sure you go and hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing. It is totally free, man, for us to keep bringing you great content like this, Knicks talk and stuff like that. And like I said, on the Aboriginal Sports Network, man, a whole bunch of stuff on there with basketball right now, and also football, NFL, and NBA, man. Go make sure you check it out, man. Make sure you go check out all the great content creators, myself, the Man Cave Podcast, Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports, Big Pat Sports Talk, Unpopular Opinion Sports, or NYG, Ghost Dog, Leaf Diggy, Mets 2128, TP Wade the Giant, Rob R0B, as well as the Lay of Game, man. Make sure you go and check it out, man. Coach, you got any final words before we get out of here, man?
No, I think we covered everything. Just, I'm ready to, see this team continue, what you said about Summer League, what do you get right there? And just, look, let Brown instill what he's doing, maybe get a coach or two, to come in. What's up, Nick? With the to help build the culture and just develop, and let's get these players ready for the upcoming season, man. That's pretty much it, man.
And like I said, man, thank you guys for tapping in, man. Like I said, I will be back here next week again, probably doing Knicks talk, but I'm also going to get more into the Giants and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Because football season is coming around. So I'm going to start getting back into the Giants, training camp and all that stuff is coming around again and stuff like that. So we definitely going to be on it, man. So, Coach, I don't know if you guys are on Heart of the City tonight.
Yeah, we are. As soon as I'm done with you, I'm going over there.
So make sure you guys tap in, man. Heart of the City tonight at 9 o'clock, man, with Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports and my brother Unpopular Opinion Sports NYG. Make sure you guys go and tap in, man. Like I said, great content, man. And also go tap into the Aboriginal Sports Network, man. And until next time, man, we see you guys. Peace.
Who's got the rocket launcher? I say we blow it up. Now fire that thing.
It's for the city of sports, playing with a giant Nick. With my man S. Dot Guard.
That's him.
You feel the vibe?
That's me.
We going live.
That's us.
That like button shared, you been subscribed.
Stadium.
That MetLife Big Blue, home of the Braves.
Yeah.
That turnpike, you can see that's where the game's played. NFL one day, then it's the NBA. Madison Square Garden, that's where the Knicks play. This that NY Logan, North don't get broken. Legalize mean this shit smoking. I'm on topic, dropping another episode. The game winner, trade, maybe a field goal. Everybody right now doing the wave. You tune in the show called The Man Cave. I see the chat, they always doing their thing. Big views, 85 inch screen. The game's on, you rush and bleed. Made calm, you on the road and chill. Do the watch along. The show's on, the host, you know it's S-God. It's no telling, the panel filled with guest stars. You now rocking with the voice, you know what it is. It's your boy J Boogie. You now rocking with my man S-God. I support him to the fullest, you heard? My man Mike Blaze. This is Alter Productions. What that mean, we about to alter everything that's playing. Tune in. My man S.G.O.D. Support the show. Subscribe, share it. Most importantly,